Sports on the Black Information Network.
In the NFL, the Cleveland Browns took a major hit to their special teams. Jakeem Grant will miss the rest of the season after suffering a knee injury in the team's preseason loss to the Kansas City Chiefs over the weekend. The kick returner ruptured his patellar tendon. Grant is set to miss his second straight season after rupturing his Achilles in training camp before last season started. Meanwhile, Cleveland is getting Marquise Goodwin back from the non-football injury list. The receiver missed training camp due to blood clots in his legs and lungs. Elsewhere in the NFL, the Los Angeles Rams are adding reinforcements to their offensive line. The team acquired Kevin Dotson, a 2024 fifth-round pick, and a 2025 sixth-round selection from the Steelers. ESPN reports Pittsburgh is receiving a 24 fourth-rounder and a 25 fifth-round pick from LA. Dotson started all 17 games for the Steelers at left guard last season, but was bumped from the starting five after the team signed former Philadelphia Eagles lineman Isaac Samalo in free agency. And a couple of NFL teams are making a depth-based trade. The New England Patriots have acquired offensive tackle Tyrone Wheatley Jr. from the Cleveland Browns in exchange for running back Pierre Strong Jr. Wheatley joined the league after signing with the Chicago Bears as a rookie free agent in 2021, but has yet to appear in a regular season game. Strong was selected by the Patriots in the fourth round of the 2022 draft out of South Dakota State. Sports at 14 and 44 minutes past each hour. I'm Morgan Wood on the Black.
On November 3rd, 1929, the All-Negro Hour premiered on WSBC in Chicago. This was the first radio program to feature black performers exclusively. The program, hosted by former vaudeville performer Jack Cooper, featured music, comedy, and serial dramas. Beyond hosting notable musicians of the time, it also gave voice to comedy that didn't rely on stereotypes so much about the shows of the era. The All-Negro Hour went off the air in 1935, but Cooper continued to host and produce black-oriented programs and other radio stations in Chicago. One such program was 30
Nice shirt.
a series that reunited black migrants from the South who had lost friends and relatives. Its success, along with the general trend toward expansion in the radio industry, led to a rise of black-oriented radio stations following World War II. And that's the fact. I'm Frankie Darcel on the Black Information Network.
Got a story or just want to leave us some feedback? Call the Black Information Network hotline at 855-500-9BIN. Entertainment news on the Black Information Network. YG is selling a new line of t-shirts with former President Donald Trump's mugshot. Yeah, over the weekend, the rapper took to Instagram to announce the new attire just a day after Trump's mugshot was revealed to the world. Under the picture, there's an explicit word printed in bold red letters. The t-shirts come in black and white, and they are on sale for $35 through YG's 400 website. Meanwhile, Iggy Azalea is revealing that she was kicked off stage after a wardrobe malfunction during a performance in Saudi Arabia over the weekend. In a video that was posted to social media, the Australian rapper is getting down on her knees as her pants begin to rip, leaving her whole leg exposed. She continued to perform while sitting down as a stagehand threw her a towel to cover up. In a now-deleted tweet, Azalea told her followers that she wanted to continue performing, but authorities didn't allow her to. Saudi Arabia is known for having strict laws regarding indecent exposure. Not even a kneecap. They don't play that. And Gran Turismo is taking a modest victory lap after barely crossing the finish line ahead of Barbie in this weekend's box office race. The movie, based on the racing video game, took in $17.3 million in its debut weekend. In its sixth week of release, Barbie earned $17.1 million. Last week's number one Blue Beetle was third, while Oppenheimer slipped to fourth place in its sixth week in theaters. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem rounded out the top five. With the latest in entertainment at 17 and 47 minutes past each hour. I'm Bree Wood. I'm your host for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
I'm Keith Urquhart on the Black Information Network. 1908, a group of black and white leaders joined together to form a new permanent civil rights organization, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, NAACP. February 12, 1909 was chosen because it was the centennial anniversary of the birth of Abraham Lincoln. Since its inception, the NAACP has worked to achieve its goals: judicial system, lobbying, and peaceful protest. In 1910, Oklahoma passed a constitutional bill allowing people whose grandfathers had been eligible to vote in 1866 to registered without passing a literacy test. The NAACP challenged the law and won a legal victory in 1915 when the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that grandfather clauses were unconstitutional. In 1954, the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, led by Thurgood Marshall, argued the Brown versus Board of Education case, which the U.S. Supreme Court struck down the deprivation doctrine of public schools. And that's that. For these stories and more, go to BIN.com.
What you need to know. This is where Black News comes first.
I'm Doug Davis.
And I'm Esther Dillard on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
Here are your top stories. The family demands to see the body cam after a black teen dies in Memphis police custody, and Crump is on the case. A student at HBCU Howard University may sue the school after he was recently stabbed on campus. And Black Republican presidential candidate Tim Scott is back on the campaign trail after what some say was a lackluster performance at the first GOP presidential debate. He visited New Hampshire with his typical happy-go-lucky demeanor, shaking hands and posing for pictures. Scott attended a number of events as well and says voters are preoccupied with Trump's legal matters instead of hearing the opinions of candidates about important issues.
With a tremendous distraction from what the average person and the average household is facing because of the economics and loss of $10,000 of spending power.
Despite recent low poll numbers, he still appears to be optimistic.
A judge denied bond for an Asian South Carolina convenience store owner charged with murder in the death of a black teenager. 58-year-old Rick Chow is accused of shooting 14-year-old Silas Carmack Belton in May. According to the Richland County Sheriff, Leon Lott, Chow accused the teen of shoplifting and chased him from the store, firing as he ran away.
Should never been shot in the back. He didn't shoplift. There's no reason for him to be shot like that.
During character testimony, it was noted that Chow has a doctorate in computer science.
A federal judge has ruled Maryland parents cannot opt their children out of certain lessons in Montgomery County public schools. Several Muslim and Christian families filed suit against the board over its decision to not notify parents when books that include LGBTQ characters or themes would be read or discussed. This Muslim activist says,
the problems aren't just the books that are being read, it's that there are discussions being handled by untrained FCPS staff.
An appeal to the decision is planned.
Binge drinking and drug use is up among all U.S. adults ages 23 to 50. But that's not quite the case for Black Americans in the same age category. A 2022 study by panelists from the University of Michigan's Monitoring of the Future group shows that Black Americans binge drink less, consume less cannabis, and simply don't drink alcohol as much as other racial groups. The study shatters racial stereotypes that Black Americans are the dominant race when it comes to using marijuana and alcohol.
Black Business Month continues here at the BIN, and we have the pleasure of speaking with the only mother-daughter duo in the country who specializes in making luxury custom grills. Dentists Dr. Melissa Jones and Ariel Jones own a business called Meld Grill that's blowing up nationwide. Dr. Jones says she started the business because of her Gen Z daughter.
You know, Ariel was always, she had a flavor. She's always fabulous. And she's always different. And she came to me and said, Mommy, I want to wear grill. And I said, hell no.
She eventually changed her mind, and for good reason. Now that you have an office in Atlanta, Georgia, and service upscale and celebrity clients of all ages and races, we wish you two the best. I'm Doug Davis, along with Esther Dillard, on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
If 100,000 BIN listeners were able to advance their careers or succeed in a new one, it would be one step towards building a better future for all of us. To learn more about the 100,000 Careers Initiative, visit careerbuilder.com/BIN.
Honest, credible, trusted.
The Black Information Network.
Bay Area, BIN 910. Your money on the Black Information Network.
Zillow Home Loans is unveiling a new program with a 1% down payment. Home buyers with challenges affording to buy will have Zillow paying an additional 2% for the program. That brings the total down payment to 3%, the usual minimum payment needed for a home loan. The new program comes as mortgage rates soar over 7% and home prices continue to go on the rise, leaving home sales to drop dramatically over the past year. And Hyundai is recalling nearly 40,000 Elantra hybrid vehicles to fix a problem with an unexpected acceleration. The company says a software error could cause the car to suddenly accelerate after the brake pedal was released. The recall covers certain hybrid sedans with the model years 2021 through 2023. The repairs will be conducted at Hyundai dealerships starting in October. In addition to this recall, some 2021 and 2022 Elantra HEVs are under recall as well. Their front driver's side and passenger side seatbelts can explode on impact. Money news at 24 and 54 past each hour. I'm Tasha Williams on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Get the black news that matters in 30 minutes on the Black and Bay Area's BIN 910. I'm Esther Dillard.
And I'm Doug Davis on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
After a month of searching in Montgomery County, North Carolina, police say they found missing black resident Alicia Watts and arrested her black boyfriend, James Dunmore. Family members tell WSOC it may have been a ping from her cell phone that led investigators to a cemetery about 30 minutes from Watts' home. Watts' family says there is now some relief.
I've always felt that she was close to home. I didn't think she was in Anson or Charlotte or South Carolina.
51-year-old Dunmore is charged with the murder of Watts. Sheriff Ronnie Fields told WCNC he believes her body had been there since July 18th, 2 days after she was last seen, leaving the home of her boyfriend, Dunmore.
Officials at D.C. Public Schools say this year students will have extra layers of security to keep them safe. That includes 40 more resource officers and safety training refreshers for teachers.
Fire drills, lockdowns. If there's a crisis in the building, our social workers and our mental health team also have been working during the summertime to make sure that we have a quick response if a student goes into crisis.
They're also using volunteers to walk kids to and from school, as well as installed metal detectors at middle and high schools that screen for weapons.
And speaking of mental health, Doug, a black psychologist and counselor have released a new workbook that gives the reader 50 things they can pull out of their mental health toolbox. It's called Black Lives Are Beautiful, 50 Tools to Heal from Trauma and Promote Positive Racial Identity. Dr. Sharmika Newton told me it's a mental health resource.
Many times we as people of color are faced with microaggressions, we're faced with outright racism, and so this book is designed to help people to heal.
She says the book helps black folks address internalized negative messages they may have about themselves that they internalized from outside influences.
Finally, in Jacksonville, Florida, a film studio that was breaking color barriers over 100 years ago reopened to the public as a museum. Curators told NBC News it was created by black filmmaker Richard Norman, who produced films that featured all-black cast made in the Deep South during the height of the Jim Crow era.
I'm Esther Dillard, along with Doug Davis, on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network. Now here's Morgan Wood with your Healthy Minute.
The Center for Disease Control and Prevention is launching a sepsis awareness program to help hospitals improve survival rates. The CDC says 1 in 3 people who dies in a hospital has sepsis, a condition that requires urgent treatment to prevent tissue and organ damage and death. Health Agency's Director Dr. Mandy Cohen is calling on hospitals to raise the bar on sepsis care, which starts with early detection of the illness. CDC says in a typical year, at least 1.7 million American adults develop sepsis, and at least 350,000 die in the hospital or are released to hospice care. Meanwhile, the National Institutes of Health report, another study based on population, found black people have a significantly higher occurrence of sepsis and are less likely to receive treatment in the ICU compared to white people. That's your Healthy Minute. I'm Morgan Wood on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
All the black news you trust every 30 minutes on the Black Information, the Bay Area's BIN 910. Isabel Sanford's role as Louise Jefferson made her a household name, and on September 13th, 1981, she made history. She became the first black woman to win the Emmy for Outstanding Lead Actress in a Comedy Series, and just the second black woman to win an Emmy of any kind.
Waited so long, all my humility is just gone.
Isabel Sanford was born Eloise Gwendolyn Sanford on August 29th, 1917 in Harlem, New York. She worked as a stage actress out of high school, relocating to California with her 3 children after a divorce. Isabel Sanford made her Broadway debut in 1965 in James Baldwin's The Amen Corner, which later led to Norman Lear casting her in All of the Family. The Jeffersons was a spin-off show that debuted in 1975, starring alongside Sherman Hemsley as George Jefferson in the role. Isabel Sanford was nominated 5 times for the Golden Globe Award and 7 times for the Emmys. Sadly, Isabel Sanford passed in 2004. I'm Weston Show for the Black Information Network. 9:10 a.m. KKSF, Oakland, the Black Information Network.
Tell your smart device to play Bay Area's VIN 910 on iHeartRadio.
The University of North Carolina confirms one faculty member was killed after a shooting on campus Monday. Police say they have a suspect in custody, but they're not releasing a name or possible charges. Black UNC Police Chief Brian James gave details at a news conference.
The lockdown of the campus remains while police verified the suspect's identity and conducted a comprehensive search for the weapon that was used in the shooting, which at this time has not been located.
Officials said classes will be canceled on Tuesday. Finally, President Biden will attend a ceremony in Alaska to mark the 22nd anniversary of the September 11th, 2001 terrorist attacks. The White House announced Biden will take part in the event with troops and military families at Joint Base and Norfolk Richardson. And that's the latest. I'm Esther Dillard from the Black Information Network and VINnews.com. I'm Terry McCready.
And I'm Kevin Brown on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
Jacksonville, Florida Sheriff P.K. Waters is calling a gunman's racist manifesto the diary of a madman.
Homicide detectives have gathered surveillance footage on video footage from the Dollar General, which captured the shooter's rampage. I will share portions of that video right now. Again, out of respect for the victim's family, we are going to cut this video short. We will not be showing their loved ones and what happened to them inside the store. I want the people to be able to see exactly what happened in this situation.
Sheriff identifying a 21-year-old white gunman who killed 3 black people near a historically black university. Waters says the shooter's sickening ideologies do not reflect the Jacksonville community, and he does not believe there's a racial divide in the city. We'll have more on this story throughout the newscast, including how the Jacksonville community is coming together to deal with the tragedy.
Florida Governor DeSantis repeated his condemnation of the deadly shooting. He says he's spoken with the president of nearby Edward Waters University about boosting security.
To allow in the state of Florida our HBCUs to be targets for hateful lunatics like the guy yesterday.
The Jacksonville sheriff says the gunman tried to enter the campus of the historically black university and moved on to the dollar store when he was turned away.
President Biden and the First Lady are grieving with the people of Jacksonville, Florida. In a statement from the White House, Biden expressing condolences over the racially motivated shooting that claimed the lives of 3 black people in a Jacksonville store. The president said white supremacy has no place in America, and the U.S. cannot be a country where black families live in fear of being gunned down because of the color of their skin. He also noted that the shooting happened on the 60th anniversary of Martin Luther King Jr.'s March on Washington.
Meanwhile, 2 people were killed and several wounded in an overnight shooting in downtown Louisville, Kentucky, outside a local restaurant. Police say one man was pronounced dead at the scene, the other died at the hospital. Authorities do not believe this was a random shooting. The Gun Violence Archive reports the incident is one of at least 474 mass shootings in the U.S. so far this year. A homicide investigation is underway.
Civil rights groups gathered in the nation's capital to mark the 60th anniversary of Martin Luther King Jr.'s historic March on Washington. Martin Luther King III calling it a continuation of his father's fight for civil rights and not just a commemoration of the event.
And we're coming together to say we must create the climate for America to move forward in a forward direction, not a backward direction.
President Biden and Vice President Harris meeting with civil rights leaders and members of the King family at the White House.
Approaching a railroad crossing.
Delivering remarks. Coming up later in the newscast, the leading GOP presidential candidate comparing a black congressional leader to a modern-day wizard of the KKK. Hear him defend his comments. And another historic win for Simone Biles. We have details coming up in sports. For more on these stories and international, national, state, and local news affecting the black community, listen to the Black Information Network on the iHeartRadio app or log on to BINnews.com. I'm Carrie McCready along with Nicole Deal on your home. The Black Information Network.
The BIE Tech Report. It's been 30 years since the World Wide Web arrived. And yes, internet use, broadband, and smartphone ownership has grown rapidly for nearly all Americans, even those who are not doing great financially. But the digital divide between lower and higher income Americans is still there. According to the Pew Research Center, 3 out of 10 adults making $30,000 a year don't own a smartphone. More than 4 out of 10 don't have broadband services or standard computers, and a majority of lower income Americans do not own tablets. On the other hand, adults in households earning $100,000 or more a year have all of these. This also causes the homework gap, the gap between school-age children who have access to high-speed internet and those that don't. There are those that have pledged to bring high-speed internet to low-income homes, but haven't yet. I'm Keon Wool.
News in 30 minutes. The Black Information Network. The Bay Area's BIN 90. I'm Dr. Williams, and you're home for 24/7 news. American Simone Biles now holds the record for the most titles won by an American in with her victory Sunday at the 2023 U.S. Gymnastics Championship in San Francisco. Hollywood competed 8 decades ago, making a move that bears her name. Biles hasn't said if she aims to compete in the 2024 Olympics. A Sacramento woman who moved to Maui 3 months ago to start a new life has lost everything in a fire. African-American 24-year-old Taya Washington, along with her partner, had very little warning and made it out of their house with just what they were carrying. They were stuck on a crowded exit road leading away from the area and barely made it out. Her partner's family were not so lucky and perished in the fire. They were later found in their car. Washington and her partner are trying to come up with a plan after October 1st when their temporary housing goes away. Washington's father has set up a GoFundMe for his daughter. And no arrest yet in the shooting death of a young mother in Contra Costa County. Deputies say they were called to an area in Rodeo late Sunday and found the young woman with a gunshot wound. She died at the scene. Witnesses say the woman was sitting in a car when the shooting took place. Police are trying to determine if the victim was targeted. And more arrests could be coming after hundreds of juveniles broke into fights around Emeryville. Police say people were called to an area near the AMC Theater on Bay and Shell Mound Streets for a meetup via social media. A large crowd broke into groups and numerous fights broke out. Someone fired a gun in the area, but no one reportedly was hit by the gunfire. One person was stabbed and one juvenile was taken into custody during the melee. Many of those who were in the area ultimately fled to other parts of the city. And in other news, whoever organized San Francisco's much-anticipated Doom Loop tour is still a big unknown. The Blight and Squalor walking tour of downtown's open-air drug markets never happened after whoever planned the event didn't show up. Dozens of people lined up Saturday not realizing the event had been canceled less than 24 hours before it was set to begin. The San Francisco Chronicle reports that some of the people who paid $30 per person for the walking tour got an email notification which identified a person with Alex Ludlum's email address as the organizer. Ludlum serves on the City Commission on Community Investment and Infrastructure. Ludlum has not been reached for comment. And that's a look at what's going on in the Bay Area. For more on these stories and international, national, state, and local news affecting the black community, listen to the Black Information Network on the iHeartRadio app
or log on to DINnews.com. I'm Natasha Williams on your home for 24/7 news, San Francisco's DIN 910.
Looking for ways to support your community? The United Negro College Fund is one of the nation's leading advocates for the importance of minority education and community engagement. Lend your